Hello, so it's been a while since I've posted any videos making hot sauces, and the primary reason for that is I had to grow the peppers first. So today we're going to be doing several different things. These are scorpion peppers out of our garden. Got a lot more coming. They're still reddening up. These are a pepper that I got at the farmer's market. Got quite a few of them. They're like a ghost type pepper that doesn't have any heat, and we did a little bit of these from that same farmer last year, and it made a really nice mild sauce. It's got a great flavor, so we're going to do some of those. And these are the jalapenos from the garden, and we're going to do several different things. We're going to dry some of these, we're going to ferment some of them, we're going to dry some of these, we're going to ferment, we're going to pickle some of the jalapenos and maybe dry a few. But for a couple of the I'm going to make a couple smaller batches, try and experiment. This is fresh sweet basil from the garden, and I'm going to make kind of a Thai themed hot sauce with the basil and probably a jalapeno and maybe some of the sweet peppers as a test case in the smaller jars in a Thai type thing. So I wanted to share something else. This shirt that I'm wearing underneath is a USAC official shirt that I originally ordered for a race that happened, almost 2 months ago now. They took forever to get the shirt there, so I decided to try it, make sure it fits for the day. I'm not sure I'm going to officiate next year, so the money may have been spent in vain. We shall see. So I've got the dehydrator here. I'm going to put some basil in there as well, and I mix that with the dried ground peppers. It makes for a nice setup. We've got all the jars sterilized, the vents sterilized, the weight sterilized, the salt. We'll pull some water out of the filtered water out of the refrigerator, or I've got bottled water, either way. But let's get started. I'm going to put you on pause. I'm going to get the peppers ready, chopped up and whatever, and then we'll come back in and see how we're doing. Okay, let's talk a little bit. So a lot of peppers, can press them down into these 2 quarts and 3 half-gallon jugs. I put those yellow peppers on top of the scorpions in order to be able to put a weight on top and keep it compressed. These half-gallon jalapenos are going to be pickled. We're going to do like an Amish style refrigerator pickle with them. And then this is jalapeno and sweet basil. There's 2 layers sweet basil in there. Same with this. Those sweet peppers with some basil in there. I'm going to ferment those and see how those come out, and then 1 big jar of the sweet pepper. But this is the first time I'm kind of chopping them so fine. So in order to make sure I get enough salt into the process, we're going to kind of target 1.5 tablespoons of salt per quart. And that'll kind of put it at 2%. But I'm going to have to pre-mix it in a smaller batch and then add water. Normally I would do like a 2 to 3%, just the water, and then add the water, but there's so much volume of pepper in there it wouldn't get enough salt into the process. So I'm going to do that a little bit different. And then for the dehydrator, I got 1 layer of nothing but basil. Then we've got a mix of different peppers I had left over with some basil. These are the sweet peppers with basil. These are the hot scorpions with some basil, and then jalapeno with basil. And I'll probably grind those all separately just because I don't think I want to mix it. But anyway, I'm going to get started with the water, and I'll put this over on the tripod and see if we can catch some of it. Okay, so I'm going to start by getting these dehydrators out of the way. I'm going to put the heavier peppers on the bottom, which would be our jalapenos. That'll be close to the heat. Kind of 2 layers of those. Then I'm going to put the sweet peppers and the scorpions and then the basil on top. And this will make an aromatic condition in your house for sure. The peppers can be kind of overwhelming for some. Alright, so pickle that. We're going to start with the hotter peppers. Everything is pre-sterilized, so we're good to go on that level. And we're going to do it this way. I'll start with 1.5 tablespoons of salt. If you go to 2 tablespoons, that's okay. That just puts you at 3% by volume on the lid. This is filtered water out of the refrigerator. Take the chlorine out. You don't want the chlorine in. You're using. Oops, this got a little bit full. Coming up the handle. There we go. And I get the salt dissolved. Oh, you can smell those scorpions. They have a very, even the smell of them will kind of get you. We're going to make me sneeze here. Okay, I'm going to do that twice, and then we'll just top it off with water. Very important to use non-iodized salt. There we go. That should put us at about 2%. Normally I would try and weigh things. I've managed to misplace my scale. I was using it for a repair job on one of the cars to weigh the amount of refrigerant that needed to go into the evacuated AC system. And I can't seem to figure out where I put it when I was done with it, so I may have to buy a new scale. All right, top this off. That might be a bit much when I put the thing in. Now, in order to make sure that's all good, I'm just going to use this lid and shake it a little bit. Get that salt water mixed around. I'd probably do it naturally with the fermentation, but I also want to make sure we get good mix and air bubbles out. All right, so pop that a little bit. And that took it down quite a bit, actually. All right, so now put our glass weight in there. Perfect. And then make sure our ring's in there. That bad boy is good to go. I'm not sure how long I'm going to ferment those. I mean, those peppers are pretty stiff skinned, so probably ferment them for quite some time, 2, 3, maybe 4 months. And then once it's fermented, we'll come back, we'll do a blend and a taste and figure out a dilution method, because those peppers are so hot. It's rare that you want to use that blend straight up, because it's just too hot. I mean, if you want to torture your friends, it works well for that, believe me. I've had some people try it. I think it's nuts. I won't even eat it myself, because I'll blend it down and mix it with some other sauces, or use it to spice up something that's like this that doesn't have a lot of heat. If I want to heat it up, I'll add some of that. But generally what I'll do with it is I'll take cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes, and if I can't find those, even a romaine, and I'll ferment the tomatoes. Once the tomatoes are fermented, then I use like 32 ounces of tomatoes to 4 or 5 ounces of this type of stuff, or thereabouts. And you can kind of test it in between, but it makes the sauce that I call flamato, and it's a mix of tomato and the hot pepper, and it comes out something that's very tasty and edible. And one of my favorite sauces. There's some other spices that go into that too. Black pepper being one of the elements that go into it, and we'll make some of that with that. But that's going to be a while before we get there because it's got to ferment for a while. So I think the quickest you can ferment it, maybe 3 weeks to a month. But pretty quick. I think if it ferments longer, it gets a little more flavor profile. But once it kind of stops bubbling, you're kind of ready to go with it if you want. Now I do have a bag that was made of green scorpions that's been in a bag ferment. Never really fermented well. I think it was my first attempt at a bag, and I think I might have oversalted it. I don't know. I burped the bag a couple of times, resealed it, but that bag's been sitting in the other room for 2 years. I've never opened it. I'm kind of afraid to. I think the green peppers, because they haven't gotten to the red stage, present a little bit of a bitterness to the flavor. I did some, fresher ferments with some peppers like that, and it was just one of those things where I'm like, I'm just curious what that total green profile is going to taste like, and haven't totally because of that. I need more water for this one. Yep. I know you can't smell through the camera, but over here in the background, when I started laying these peppers out this morning, I had another little side project going, Mississippi pot roast in the crock pot. It's beginning to smell really good, and I'm kind of hungry, so I'll probably break that out soon. All right, now let's mix this one up. There's this other pepper that I haven't seen any of this year. It's orange. It's kind of a star-shaped pepper. I get it at the farmer's market. They made really good sauce. One of my favorites, actually. I got one hair bubbles in there. Probably going to add a little bit more. All right. And we put a glass. That one. Get a little fluid in that. Cool. We're getting there. Now for the refrigerator pickles, it's a pretty simple recipe. If you look on the back of some of these pickling things, they'll give you a ratio where they're doing 12 cups of fluid total and a full cup of salt, which tends to make the refrigerator pickles too salty. So don't put that much salt in it. Generally, a rule of thumb we'll do is 1 tablespoon per 2 cups of fluid. So if you do 50-50 split, or if you do, a third split, like 2 cups of water, 1 cup of vinegar, you'd use like 1.5 tablespoons salt to that. But if you want to flavor the brine with anything, you put it in the boil. Once it's boiling, go ahead and pour it over until it covers. Put a lid on and stick it in the refrigerator. 24 hours later, they're ready to use. For this one, I'm probably going to, I don't think I'm going to add anything to the brine. It's just a vinegar salt brine. I do want to try doing some jalapenos. I've got some more coming out of the garden that I'm going to probably just try quart, but do a sugar vinegar water bath. So you do 1 cup of vinegar, 1 cup of sugar, type of a blend, or you can reduce that sugar if you want. Maybe if you want to reduce, add a cup of water, and then bring that to a boil with maybe some mustard seed and some celery seed, and then put that over the jalapenos and see. I make pickles that way. They're really good. Slice them. It's kind of a sweet pickle, and it's refrigerator style. Comes out quick and easy and good. But this particular, the way I want to do that, it's kind of to mimic what they call cowboy candy. It's a sweet jalapeno relish type of thing. I want to do something kind of similar to that, but just with the, I'm not going to make it a jelly kind of a relish product. I'm just going to put it on the jalapenos. Gurgle, bubble, bubble. All right. One of the things I did do in each of these jars is leave some not chopped so finely at the top of the jar so that the weight has something to sit on, because I was worried about it. Something happened in some brines last year, is the weight kind of got out of place and sunk into the jar instead of sitting on top of things. Things were still okay, but it was kind of like, you don't really want that to happen. So in some cases I put a cabbage leaf on top to kind of hold it. Didn't really like what the cabbage did to the smell of the ferment. So it was more like a weird sauerkraut. So I didn't want that to happen. So it's really weird how that bubbles out. Let's see what that does. That's going to overflow now. That'll do it. I forgot to check, make sure that seals in there right. It is. Okay. That's packed pretty tight. All right. One more. Now it took a long time to process all these peppers and get them chopped. I kind of like to just throw something on I like to listen to or watch, chop away. None of the kids or my wife care to help chop peppers. Go figure, right? But I do recommend, if you're doing any of those hot peppers, that you do wear the gloves if you need to. I kind of figured that I'd do the hot peppers first and everything else later, and it would kind of push things off my fingers, and I've been washing a lot in between. Just don't rub your eyes or any other parts of your body until you've cleaned your hands rather well after you've messed with peppers. You'll notice if you don't. Not a real pleasant thing in some cases. I did rub it in my eyes the other night after chopping some jalapenos. I felt like an idiot. Like, really? Trying to watch TV, can't see anything. Alright. Mix this one up. Now, one of the things I did do with these lighter colored peppers is that every now and then you get a block of seeds that are brown or black or green, if it's not all the way right. It's a little weird. I can't put any rhyme or reason to why it happens, but these ones you can kind of see the coloration of the pepper, that it might have that in there. So as I was chopping, I would eliminate any of those dark seeds out of there, or even set the pepper aside in some cases because it was just too weird inside. And you want to be careful to do that, because if you want to keep the color of your sauce kind of contemporary and not. Let's see here. That's going to cover. All right. Oh, check the seal. That part is done. Well, I won't keep you around for the pickling process. I'm going to build the brine, boil it up, fill this up, then put it in the refrigerator. Let you know how they come out, though. I mean, it's something that's worth playing with. We've made a lot of refrigerator pickles, but this will be the first time I've made refrigerator peppers. So, hoping it comes out well. I have high confidence that it will. But thanks for being here. If you have any questions, leave a comment. I'll try and get back. I don't check the website that often, but I do occasionally get out there and look. So, thanks.